Welcome to Inspired Living with Mark and Kim. Every Wednesday, Mark and Kim, along with their special guests, will explore thought-provoking topics and ideas that promote creativity, self-help, healing, happiness, and well-being to inspire you on your spiritual journey. Each week, Mark and Kim will discuss different paths to achieving a more spiritual, balanced, happy, and healthy lifestyle. Topics will elevate consciousness and range from metaphysics to the human and social experience, and all things spiritual. Welcome to an inspired community that offers support, encouragement, and new ways of thinking. Mark and Kim are tested, certified, and professional spiritual mediums, metaphysical teachers, healers, and spiritual advisors with their own individual spiritual practices in Seattle, Washington, and Los Angeles, California. You are the inspired and the inspiration.
Good afternoon, inspired listeners. I can't even tell you how excited I am about our show today. Everything our guest says is all light encoded, so if you're ready to have an amazing everything, as she likes to say, you have come to the right place. I'm going to keep this short because we have a lot of ground to cover on the topic of parallel universes and alternate realities. How exciting is that? I can't wait. I'm Kim Falcon. If you'd like to connect with me, you may do so at lovefirst.info. Today's inspired affirmation for the month of September is straight from our guest's book, Navigating Dimensions. Realities are as bendable or as fixed as I believe them to be. You can call us at 202-570-7057. We are going to focus on getting the information out there today, so if time permits, towards the end of the show, then we'll be happy to take calls. But anybody who knows our guests knows there's a lot of information to be had that we'll all benefit from. Without any further ado, I'll bring on my co-host, Mark Lanehart, the intuitive prospector up in Seattle. Hey there, Mark.
Hi, Kim. Hi, Lisa. Hi, inspired listeners. Yes, I'm in a parallel universe since we're talking about alternate realities and parallel universes. I'm up in the parallel universe of Seattle, Washington. It's going to be a great show. I was talking with Lisa before the show. Part 2, getting into the information, because there's just so much to try to get within an hour. So we're going to pick up with part 2 of alternate realities, parallel universes. Going to be a lot of fun. If you want to work with me here in Seattle, just visit marklanehart.com, internet search the Intuitive Prospector. If you want to engage with us on social media, you can do that through Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Google+. If you're on the Instagram or Twitter pages, our handle is Inspired for Us. That is the number 4. If you decide to join our growing, very fast-growing Inspired Living Radio Facebook page, where we have over 1,200 inspired listeners around the world, make sure to put a little pin on our global map so we can see where all of our listeners are tuning in live every Wisdom Wednesday. If you missed the live show today, don't sweat it. We've got encore shows throughout the week here on OMTimes Radio, and you can catch all of the podcasts that will go over to YouTube, marklanehart.com, SoundCloud, lovefirst.info, Podbean, and iTunes. I just updated my YouTube playlist with all of our favorite shows. We've done 3 seasons of Inspired Living Radio, so a lot of great information out there if you want to catch up on any of our podcasts. So, Kim, you've already got the positive affirmation for this month, so I don't need to cover that. We'll do call-in. We'll take questions at the end of the show, 1 or 2 questions, but I'm going to turn it back over to you so we can jump right into the details. But I just want to let our inspired listeners know we love you. We appreciate you. Thank you so much for being here. You are the inspired and the inspiration. Back to you, Kim.
All right. Beautifully said, Mark. Lisa Transcendence Brown is the kindest and most generous person you'll meet. I have to say I've learned so much from her when it comes to generosity. And I love her no-nonsense message that's all wrapped up in divine love. There's a quote that I want to share today that I heard her say on a community call earlier this week. And she said, "I am not here to help people stay asleep," and I love it. Lisa is a globally recognized author, transformational speaker, teacher, coach, WayShower guide, New Earth Physical Ascension and Empowerment Guide, assisting others in awakening to remembering fully and living mastery from within. Lisa, thank you so much for being with us today.
Hey, Kim and Mark. I'm really
Welcome
appreciative.
back, Lisa.
Thank you. Hi, sweetie. I'm so happy to be here and do this with you guys. Hey, everybody joining us. Welcome. Thank you.
Yes. Well, I have to say to our Inspired community, for me, it's all Lisa all the time over here in Virginia. I've got the videos going, the podcast, all of everything that she does, and I just love it. I can't even tell you how much
it's a constant activation, isn't it?
It is. It's like I gotta have my Lisa on during the day, just because when we talk about remembering, it does activate that part of us, and so that's why this information is so important. And the topic, and I know we've got a lot to cover, but there's the equinox. Mark, did you want to say something? Just real quick,
Kim, can I jump in here just real quick for our Inspired listeners? Please don't call into the phone line. The phone lines are jamming up. Yeah. The phone lines are not for listening to the show. If you want to listen to the show live, please visit us on the internet. Look for Inspired Living Radio or OMTimes Radio. You can listen live through the internet, but please do not call into the call-in lines because all of the lines are jammed up, and we're going to be using those for later in the show with questions. Sorry, Kim, I just had to let
That's such a horrible problem to have, Mark, isn't it?
I know.
It is.
Go to the internet to listen to us, not the phone lines. We love you.
Lisa, it must be awful to be loved. I'm telling you. Okay.
You know what? It's so beautiful. Thank you, guys. I love you so much.
So there's the equinox going on, and then the topic that I've loved, I've been wanting to learn more about is parallel universes and alternate realities and how those affect our lives today and how we can work with them and all that stuff. Yeah, everything.
Yes,
so I know how this works. I'm going to turn it over to you if we rock and roll. There you go.
Cool. Well, you know me, I'm going to throw everything into the pot. And, you know, there's a lot of people say, why don't you answer our question? Well, there's a billion answers. And part of this journey of elevating our consciousness and expanding our consciousness to become the whole universe again. So when we get into parallels and alternates and all these things, it's about our own expansion of consciousness, which comes through opening our heart and our mind. So a lot of people run around and go, my heart is open, but your mind's closed. Well, then your heart's not open. You can't, you got to get your heart wide open so your mind will open too. Because the ability to expand your consciousness to become the whole universe again can only happen if your heart is wide open. And as we do this, as we expand our consciousness, elevate our consciousness, and raise our vibration, all of these things are a part of the whole. There's so many pieces and parts to all of this. And we don't do one of them, we do all of them. And so, you know, it's a vast process of first waking up in order to activate our own ascension process, which is ascending our consciousness back, which is why it's called remembering, because you're remembering everything you forgot before you ever incarnated or walked into this existence here. Some birthed, some walked in. Doesn't really matter. It's each person's journey. And the thing about this is that in order to gain access to everything, it's through a level of purity. It's through a level of innocence. It's through a level of such a deep, sacred connection inside of us that we gain access again. Our ego doesn't get any access. Our human intellect gets in the way. Our heart intelligence opens up the floodgates, and a lot of people are going through that. My floodgates are open. I'm crying all the time. I got all this stuff coming up. And that's a part of the process that's actually very important because all that stuff was suppressed in the body, and it's what kept the body anchored in the third and the fourth dimension of unconsciousness. And so elevating our physical body's vibration, we have to get our physical body's vibration high enough, which is a huge part of the process. In the beginning, we didn't know our bodies are asleep. We didn't know these things until we actually started. As we come back to an ascended state of consciousness, we enter multidimensionality as at first the etheric realm, but then it becomes our everyday life. Our whole existence becomes a quantum existence. But we can't do that if our minds are closed, which is our ego. And we didn't know how deeply embedded the ego was. We didn't know all of these things because we had not done it in this existence yet. So you know, all the pioneers, all the wayshowers, all the people doing this, all the gatekeepers, all the grid keepers, dedicating themselves to full service, to humanity, dedicating themselves to assisting as a part of the New Earth grid work, dedicating themselves, all of these people, all of these light beings, all of us. This is you, this is me, this is everybody. It takes all of us because as each person does this themselves, they strengthen the multidimensional grid work and networking system that's already in place. They become a part of what we've all been doing. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Yes, it does. Mm-hmm.
It's absolutely beautiful. And it is the most magical and amazing experience. You've seen the pictures. You've seen the things we share through the years. You've seen, you know, all these things. And now a lot of people are experiencing the weird and the bizarre that comes along with it, too. You know, you got to get okay with weird and bizarre.
Right.
Yeah, really do. Because it's when photonic light activates inside of our body, everything starts to bend and breathe and move and stretch, and it gets a bit weird and plasmic, and you know, all this stuff starts to happen, which is a very necessary part of the process as well. Okay, so we want to get into parallels and alternates. When we set this up, you said parallel, and I'm like, oh yeah, that would be awesome. And then I actually looked at it and went, no, I'd rather talk alternate realities because they're different. And the reason I say that is because in the beginning, when our heart was closed, when our ego ran the show, when we lived from our head, there were no alternate realities. The physical reality we were standing in was the only reality that existed. You know, and I still hear a lot of people go, oh, I got to get back to reality. Well, for us, it's like, you know, our reality is very different because you actually are literally walking in a dream. It's magical. It's amazing. It's beautiful. It's, you know, it'll bring tears to your eyes. There's this just divine essence and presence that you're always connected with. And everything's alive and thriving and vibrant and colorful and interactive, which our old Earth existence wasn't. It was disconnected. Everybody lived from their root chakra, if you will, which was survival mode and fear. But none of us knew that. In my early days, if you had told me I had fear, I would have told you, I don't have any fear. I'm the toughest person ever made on this earth. Well, all that toughness, that's what gets ripped away. So it's like, let go of that toughness. It's got to go. It's bringing the softness of your heart through. It's about bringing that softness through. And through that softness, your inner power comes through. And so it's a very different existence where you can stand in your power without the outside world being a threat. You can stand in your power as love and say, no, that's not acceptable anymore. You can stand in your power and say, you know what, I'm going to bring love to this reality, whether you like it or not. And you know, it's really changing your entire existence. From living from everything's a threat and out to get me, and it's me first, and you know, the human aspect, I call them humans. It's the ego aspect. But once you expand into the galaxies and the universe, everybody's just a bunch of humans running around that are unconscious, that don't have a clue. And then as you start working together, everybody knows this, everybody gets this, but it's deep inside, and that's where we all got to go. But one, in order to activate and gain access to everything again, we have to go so deep inside of ourselves that we can connect on a soul level. We have to go so deep inside of ourselves through the fear, through the discomfort, through the judgment, through all of those things, because right now judgment is off the charts for people. They are like going ballistic, slinging judgment everywhere. And the thing about it is judgment closes each person's heart, and it shuts the door on all the awesomeness, all the possibilities, all the things that everybody can receive. Judgment shuts all that down. And so it really means looking at all your programming and opening up and realizing the reality that you think is true is only true if you believe it is. The reality that you most desire on a soul level, it has to be completely aligned from the inside out. and that there are a bazillion different realities, but we have to open our heart and our mind to see them. Otherwise, we keep discounting and saying, no, that's not a possibility. No, I have this. We claim all these things. I'm not capable of this. We have every excuse known to man on an ego level. I don't have enough. I'm not enough. All the unworthiness stuff comes in. When in essence, all of that is BS. It doesn't matter what you have in your hand. It matters where you come from. Because there were many times I didn't have anything, but I opened my heart and I said, universe, support me. Universe, help me through. Universe. And what happens is when you surrender your ego to your universe, you become the whole universe again. But it's a merging. It's an activation of light, your light body. It's an activation of your soul, which is your light body. It's an activation of photonic light body. The merging of these light codes in your physical body activates your fifth dimensional. And I'm going to go fifth, but we've gone way beyond fifth, okay? But fifth is just the beginning, and it's what we use to describe a vibrational frequency. Third dimension, fourth dimension, we break it down into dimensions so you can actually see which reality you're actually standing in. Because if you actually open your heart and shift your vibration, your whole reality will change. And you can actually exit. Most people think dimension is a physical plane. Well, that was pre-2012. Okay? A dimension is the vibrational space you occupy. So if you, with your body and your whole being, are shut off, and your mind is closed and your heart is closed, you're stuck in a third dimensional reality, which is all egoic and run from your head. And all of those realities are collapsing. Okay? They're karmic, they're unconscious, and they bring forth our slaps upside the head. They bring forth the lessons. They bring forth a vibrational return of what we've been transmitting out. They bring forth all of our existences to experience in this physical here. When we become conscious, we reverse all of that. Everything starts to come from our heart. And so what we're transmitting out with our whole being is a very different vibration. And your body actually vibrates into a different dimension. Our human can't understand any of this. Go ahead, sweetheart. Our human mind has no clue and can't see. Okay? Go ahead, sweetie.
Well, I was just going to ask, so as multidimensional beings, are we, but wouldn't you know?
Go ahead.
We're going into our first break.
Keep it.
We'll be back in 2 minutes, and then I'll continue the question.
The future of Internet radio is here. OMTimes Radio, IOM FM. Host your show on IOM FM, the radio network of OMTimes Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of OMTimes. Hosting a show on IOM FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community. Are you seeking answers to life questions? Would you like to connect to a departed loved one? Are you suffering from pain, stress, or anxiety? Kimberly Thalkin is a tested, certified, and professional psychic, spiritual medium, energy healer, hypnotherapist, and the founder of Love First, where life transformations happen. Love First services support, guide, and empower individuals by connecting them to their highest potential to live a healthier, joyful, and meaningful life that's filled with purpose. All services can be done by phone, Skype, or in person in Encino, California. Please visit lovefirst.info. That's LOVEFIRST.info for more information.
Hi, I'm Kelly Fox, host and astrologer of The Astrology Show. Each week, I'll give you access to the current transits, which are a valuable tool that provide astrological information to help unlock the potential each of us has. Understanding the stars can help steer us in the right direction to make better informed choices. So if you're wondering what's going to happen in your week ahead, be sure to tune in to the Astrology Show for guidance, Mondays at 9 p.m. Eastern Time.
I'm Fidel Nshambo. I was born in a city called the Bukavu in the Congo. We were a loving family, and then, boom, everything that I had disappeared in a single day. People think that when you are a refugee and they resettle you to America, and all your problems are done. They don't understand that that's the beginning of everything. I was not born a refugee. I was made one.
It's time we welcome refugee families with open arms. Learn more at embracerefugees.org, brought to you by the Ad Council.
Welcome back to Inspired Living with Mark and Kim, and our guest today, Lisa Transcendence Brown, as we continue our conversation on parallel universes and alternate realities. So, Lisa, before we went to break, I was going to ask,
yes.
As multidimensional beings, are there parts of us, aspects of us, playing out existences in other realities at the same time?
Yes.
Like, there are.
Always.
Okay.
Simultaneously.
Always.
Infinite ones, yes. And the thing about it is the more conscious we are, the more we can see all of those. And so you are very aware that you're in this physical reality. So like I can sit and watch myself in other realities working and doing all kinds of stuff, and it makes this reality really easy because I'm actually accomplishing everything in those dimensions a lot of the time. And so, you know, so a lot of the agreements, a lot of the people we work with, and then you wake up like the next day, you know, explaining how a lot of this works, it can get a bit tricky. So I'll do it really briefly. But you can actually go to sleep. The more conscious you are in the waking state, the more conscious you are in the sleep state, which is just another access to other dimensional realms. Okay? So the more programming we hold, the more like the sleep will be an uncomfortable place because we're clearing heavy-duty programs and unconscious timelines. Whereas the more conscious we are, the more those states become interchangeable. So the wake state and the sleep state will actually flip and merge, and it gets really bizarre when this starts happening because you actually are aware you're walking in a lucid dream. You're actually aware you're walking in a reality that bends and breathes and moves and interacts and is conscious. Everything's conscious. Once you merge and unify all of these things from within you. You actually have access to all the other dimensions at first in a sleep state because our body and our brainwave state and our consciousness field are not unified to the same vibrational frequency. And so because we existed from a place of separation inside of us, then all of these things were separated too. Well, a unification process collapses all of these things into one. From this space, all realities become one. Everything becomes possible. But it takes aligning our current reality through our highest state of consciousness in order for everything to be easy. And so aligning everything on a soul level, aligning everything as our higher self means looking at your entire reality and seeing what's not fully aligned with unity consciousness, what's not fully aligned with love, what's not fully aligned with a deep sacred respect, honor, integrity from inside as love. And actually changing our entire life to align on a soul level. And that's what's actually going on for everybody, except that the more unconscious we are, the more we don't understand this. The more conscious we are, and remember that, you know, on a human level, everybody walks around going, yes, I'm the universe, I'm a multidimensional. There's a big difference in saying the words and being it. And so our multidimensional, our fully conscious us, when you expand your consciousness to become the entire universe, galaxy, Solaris, the sun, Ra, all of these aspects, you will actually expand your consciousness and leave this place while your body is sitting in whatever space. While you're asleep, you get to play and travel and all this stuff, and it'll get really confusing because there will be times you won't understand which reality is real. You know, the tricky part is when there's any ego involved. then all the blame games start and the judgment starts and the finger pointing starts, instead of understanding that the external reality is a vibrational reflection back as to what we hold inside. So if we don't like our reality, go inside, figure out where that's held, clear the program, and the outside reality changes. And it can be so easy if we will allow it to be. It can be so, it doesn't have to be harsh. It doesn't have to be rough. There doesn't have to be any suffering. That is the human ego way. And believe me, I did it all. I went through hell. I went through the suffering. I went through all these things because that's how I learned. That's how I came to understand everything. And you have to transcend. Each one of us have to transcend that in order to fully expand our consciousness, which is quantum. Okay? You become a quantum light being. Literally, your DNA rewrites itself. Your genetics, everything gets rewritten from inside of your body, which is why a lot of people are going through the body stuff right now. As our light body activates, our human body goes through an immense and ridiculous amount of changes in order to change the dynamic of the codes and the structures on a cellular level inside of our body. Our consciousness rewrites our DNA. Our consciousness rewrites our entire physical body and our physical reality, too. Being unconscious. Go ahead, sweetheart.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, being unconscious, you have no ability.
Right.
We have to be fully conscious in order to gain the ability to do this with ease. It's very simple when everybody gets out of their head. It's everybody's ego that complicates everything. The ego will always be a victim. The ego will always be a bully. The ego will always impose. The ego will never have enough or be enough. There's all these games. It's called an ego game. And everybody decides, I'm not going to play the ego stuff anymore. You open your heart, you expand your consciousness, and you look through new eyes as love. And you actually see how everything can be really simple and easy. And when you do this, you enter. Now I'm gonna take it and I'm gonna be quiet so you can ask your question. You actually shift your vibration into a different dimension, an alternate reality. Than you were in before, because you opened up to alternatives. And these have to be much grander and greater than the linear mind can even comprehend. The linear mind cannot comprehend this, not one bit. Go ahead, I'm going to be quiet.
Oh, I was just going to add to that with the alternate realities. Mm-hmm. That is kind of an amazing thing to see, to work with that.
Oh, they're infinite.
And experience it. But, like, okay, so these other realities that we're
I'm going to play with you for a moment, because I'm going to play with you for a moment. Okay, because I know your head's trying to grasp the whole thing, and I hear you. Okay, I know. I'm watching your brain.
That's my head you hear. That's my head.
Yeah, don't blame it on me. It's Mark.
Let me simplify this for you. Let me simplify this for you. Everybody close your eyes unless you're driving or doing something that would be dangerous, okay? And I want you to look at your current reality. I'm going to make this really simple. And in your current reality, you're telling yourself you're not enough, you don't have enough, or this is the only reality. Do whatever you can right now to bring yourself to a place of peace. Bring your consciousness all the way back inside of your body and connect. And then once you bring it back inside, you're able to connect and come to a place of peace. And then you expand your consciousness back out again, really big and really vast, huge. As you expand your consciousness, then you start asking yourself the questions, is this the only reality I have? Is this the only reality? And if you're saying yes, then your heart is closed. If you go, no, actually, I do. I do have an option. Actually, but my ego doesn't like that option. But it doesn't matter. It is an option. You've convinced yourself you don't have an option. You're going to find you've convinced yourself of all these realities. You've convinced yourself of all these stories. You've convinced yourself that that's your only reality. You're convincing yourself, and your belief makes that real. The moment you go, oh, wait a minute, I couldn't see that. Oh, wait a minute. If I just open my heart and realize I do have another option, you immediately open up a portal to another reality, and now you get to choose. Well, I can choose to sit here and believe that I'm not enough and I don't have enough, or I can open my heart and accept myself exactly as I am and realize I am enough. I do have. And you know what? It doesn't matter what it is. When your heart is open, you have gratitude. You have appreciation. When your heart is closed, you don't. Closing our heart drops us into our root chakra, which is survival mode. Self first. Security. All the fears. Open our heart brings us out of our root chakra back up to our heart chakra, if you will, and opens everything up. And then you can enter higher mind consciousness where you actually get to see alternatives. Does this make sense?
Yes, yes, it does. And I feel like I'm finally at a place where I can work with that. Go ahead. Just go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, if each person allows their ego to maintain control, there's no alternative. But if each person actually stops and says, you know what, I do have alternatives, I need to see what they are, it means a complete surrender of your ego, though. It means surrendering everything to your higher self, your higher vibrational you. Your universe is your higher self.
But
you're not separate. Go ahead.
But could an aspect of you be living in, and again, I don't know if this is a parallel universe, I don't know that I'm clear on that, living out in another existence, and you're doing something in that other existence that is causing you discomfort in this existence?
Only if you allow yourself to stay separate inside. So Kim, you keep wanting to go to over there, another reality. Whereas if you bring it all inward, in this moment, you have a conscious choice. In this moment, you're in command. In this moment, this is the vibration that dictates all of your other dimensions and reality.
Okay. The reason why I asked that is because I've seen before in my mind's eye, like me interacting with another person that felt like it was in another dimension of time and space. I could feel like in my mind's eye.
Yeah, there is. But the thing, this is the key. We have to bring all of that to this space.
Okay.
Clear everything that is of separation within us. So in the beginning, we will expand off into those other dimensions and see them. But how do those dimensions become real in this physical one? The thing about it is we all have the capability to go into infinite dimensions and then pick the one you want to live, pick the one that most aligns. But the thing about it is that if there's any unconscious programming inside of us, those are the realities we're going to get first. So in order to shift the entire physical reality in this one, I'm going to say this from many ways because it's different things, okay? If we don't love the current reality we're in, we're always going to want to be in a different one. But we have to love the current reality we're in. Does this make sense? Okay. With multidimensionality, you're able to expand your consciousness into all these other dimensions, see all the possibilities, see everything that's available, and then each day get up and do whatever anchors that into this reality here. That's a huge part of being multidimensional, is you have the capability to create any reality you want to in this physical one here. If we're not happy in our current reality, we'll always be off over there wishing we had a different one. Does this make sense?
Yeah. Yes.
That's separation. That's not, so there's different things about this. In the beginning, we do drift off into other realities. In the beginning, we do. But when you drift off into these other realities, you can when you expand your consciousness, you can float around for a while in all these other realities while your DNA rewrites itself. And we did do that. A lot of people will do that. A lot of people coming up, they're going to do that because they're detaching from the current physical reality so they can shift out of that one. Does this make sense?
Oh, I see. Yes. Yes.
Mm-hmm. The reason we float around in the other dimension is so that we can actually clear our attachment to the physical realm.
Got it. That makes perfect sense.
Okay, I'm trying to, we have to twist, retwist, untwist, and all this kind of stuff because on a human level, we don't understand how we're actually anchored in a physical reality and how to actually shift that physical reality. Our need, our lack, our attachment, that's what anchors us there.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And so in the beginning, a lot of us, we don't love the current reality we're in, so we will expand our consciousness to go off into the other dimension and say, you know what, I'd really rather have that reality. But the part that a lot of people miss out on is they don't understand that you actually have to do something in this current reality to bring those realities here. And half the time, they're not going to look like anything you thought they were going to. Mm-hmm. Majority of the time, nothing's going to happen as you thought it would. Some of those are just holographic realities. A lot of them are to get us out of our ego. A lot of them are to help us let go of our fixation, let go of all of our attachment, let go of all of our lack or need to the current reality. So we actually drift off into all of those to see what's possible other than the current one. Does this make sense?
Yes.
But it's also what assists us with the motivation to get up or the inspiration to get up and say, oh, cool, I get to have a different reality. I'm going to focus my energy on that one. And because before we were living in lack or need, we will actually let go of the attachment to the current reality because we're now focused on a different one that brings us more inspiration, more desire, more happiness, more things. And that is a part of shifting our consciousness on a multidimensional level. Mm-hmm. But we have a being and a doing. Oops. I'll be quiet.
Oh, okay. Just one moment here. We're going to our last break. Stay with us. We'll be back in 2 minutes.
The cutting edge of conscious radio. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Have you wondered how to change your love paradigm? The secret key is finding a love partnership, not just a regular connection. How do you find these? Through conscious relationships. Ascending Hearts Dating is a dating site for people like you that believes in second chances and a different type of spiritual connection. Try Ascending Hearts for free at ascendinghearts.com and change your love paradigm. Ascending Hearts, the premier dating community for the spiritually awake.
One planet, 7.3 billion people, only one you. Life offers us many opportunities and learning experiences. Are you ready to explore and discover this beautiful planet, the life and energy all around us, the spiritual world, and what is unseen, along with your own personal soul adventure? Mark Lanehart, the intuitive prospector, is the spiritual connection you have been prospecting for. Internationally known as a tested and professional clairvoyant medium and spiritual advisor, Mark's work as a metaphysical teacher, medical instructor, radio show host, inspirational writer, and hiking guide are here to help you on a journey of self-discovery, healing, inspiration, education, and a whole lot of spiritual awesomeness. Dare to dream. Dare to explore. Dare to live. For more information on Mark's spiritual practice in Seattle, Washington, please visit marklanehart.com or internet search The Intuitive Prospector.
Tune in to The Practical Intuitive, Mind, Body, Spirit for the Real World with me, host Robin Fritz, Mondays at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 Eastern. I'll cover personal and business intuition, animal communication, mediumship, space clearing, past life regression, shamanic insights, energy healing, soul choice, and more, all to help you tap your own intuitive and healing skills. No ifs, ands, or buts.
America's service members and veterans are strong, forged out of bravery, sacrifice, and duty. Sometimes reaching out for help can be the most challenging and worthwhile mission of all. When you recognize something isn't right, make the call to the Veterans Crisis Line or Military Crisis Line. Dial 1-800-273-8255 and press 1.
Welcome back to Inspired Living Radio with Mark and Kim here on OMTimes Radio. Our very special guest today, Lisa Transcendence Brown, part 2, because we had Lisa on just not too long ago, Lisa, and we got in depth about alternative dimensions. Today we're talking about alternate realities, and I know you said there was a difference between parallel universe and alternate realities. As I was just sitting back listening to you talk about, there's something that you said about, and I wanted to have you repeat it, about once we let go of the ego, we return back to universe, or we return back to consciousness. I'm probably not saying it right, but that really stuck with me. Can you say that again?
Probably not, but I can say it a different way. We never can say anything ever again because we just talk. We don't know what we say. We're just sharing, the knowledge and information, which is infinite. Okay, so here. Our ego actually disconnects us from universal consciousness. They are opposite. Mm-hmm. Okay, so the ego, our human intellect, our what we think we know, living from our head, actually is the disconnected state. So in order to shift out of that disconnected state, it means surrendering all the resistance, surrendering all the excuses, surrendering all those things. That's all ego. And letting completely go and connecting from inside to our infinite aspects of us, which we become the whole universe again. We actually expand our consciousness, and you walk around and you are the universe. There's nothing outside of you that you don't create. There's nothing outside of you. And so it's a really, but it means bringing your light through love inside of you and expanding your consciousness fully. And what I was telling Kim before we came on here, understanding your ego is key. Our human ego can't understand its ego. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But if you open your heart and observe your ego, then all of a sudden you're going to have new realizations and see your limits, see your story, see your blame, see your lack, see all of these things. And it's all a part of the ego constructs, which is called an inner matrix. Okay? And so what's going on is everybody's inner matrix is being reworked right now. And so the answer to your question, I don't even remember the question now.
I just thought it wasn't necessarily a question. It was just, I thought it was a very important philosophy that you were sharing about letting go of the ego, because wouldn't this world just be a completely different place if we could all let go of that ego that drives us for, survivability. So it wasn't really a question. I just thought it was very paramount to repeat that.
Oh, it's okay. Recognition is key. Each person has to recognize their ego, or they can't transcend their own ego. Okay? So recognizing what the ego does is the first part of this process, but we have to open our heart to do that. Otherwise, we have so much judgment and blame and guilt and all these emotions that are part of the Akashic records that are clearing. Okay? It's all a belief. It's all a story. It's all of, all these things. And realizing that when our heart opens, our beliefs are different than when our heart is closed. Parallel realities play out. It's very, but it's backwards for a while. Yeah, because when you actually start waking up to seeing the actual matrix, it's the opposite of what that one, So you actually start walking in a different reality.
Interesting.
When your consciousness fully. What about when you sleep?
How does that work with is that a parallel? Is that an alternate reality? In my mind, I'm thinking, I always hear that when we go to sleep, that's reality, and when we're awake, that's the dream. So I'm just trying to wrap my head around that.
Okay. When you go to sleep, your ego consciousness can collapse, and your higher mind consciousness can actually expand. But it also gives you access to all the other dimensions and timelines that exist a lot easier, too. But the heavier and denser we are, because we have a carbon-based body and a crystalline light body, and they're different bodies. One is a conscious one is an unconscious one. Well, we all basically start out in the third and the fourth dimension. And we wake up to the fifth dimension, which is inside of us, and we bring that forth. And as we live as the fifth dimension, which opens up access to new Earth, then what happens is we shift our consciousness completely. We actually use the sleep state differently. So for the human ego with a dense body, the sleep state is an exhaustion point. The sleep state is where we go when we're tired at the end of the day, just to get enough energy to get up and do the day again. Does this make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the sleep state is going to be very different because we actually have to break this down into different dimensions in order to actually understand part of it. And a dimensional experience for somebody who still holds a carbon-based body and their light body hasn't fully activated, because you have a third dimensional light body, a fourth dimensional, there's a different level of light body for every dimension. And it's based upon light quotient and the amount of light of each person's soul that has been able to integrate in the physical body. So you have souls walking around that are treating each other with the respect and love and sharing. And you have humans walking around that are unconscious, and they're in different dimensions.
Yeah. Interesting.
Okay? Seriously.
Yeah, it's fascinating. Let me just sit with that for a sec, what you said.
I know. I have to say these things that really expand the mind. So let me
I'm
say
sure you
this
get this
to
a lot,
you.
right?
Well, and like everybody gets up, and I get a lot of you were working with me in my sleep state last night. Yes, I was. I'm teaching and working all night long, and I'll wake up completely exhausted because I have been working with a bazillion people in every dimension, and they'll wake up and show up on my Facebook say, you were working with me last night. Everything I've been teaching, we are working in every dimension. Right. We exist in every dimension. The cool part is the more conscious we are, the more we can pull all of those awesome realities here and let go of all the ones that are not awesome. Does that make sense?
It does, yeah.
Okay. Being multidimensional gives you access to what we didn't have. It opens up capabilities. It opens up knowledge. It opens up all these things that we disconnected from. It opens up all these amazing things. Human has different words than we use, okay? Because some words are egoic. And so, like, if I run around, I'm a healer, then I'm in my ego. Okay, but I did that for a while. But technically, we all come to understand that the body's vibration was so low, the body's got to repair itself. It's a DNA repair thing. And technically, when our heart opens, our body heals itself. It needs assistance and support to get its vibration up. But if our heart is closed, we're treating our body very differently. And our body is actually anchored literally in a third and a fourth dimension reality. That the others in a fifth dimension and higher, they're not experiencing those realities. They're not real. They don't exist anymore. You can see them. You're aware of them, but they're not your experience. Most people don't know that a dimension is now the experience that you're in. It's not a thing off over there, but it is. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and you always hear the term multidimensional being. I've always heard that a lot. So just for the sake of time,
hold on, Mark. Hold on. I want to play with you. Hold on. I know we got to go. But hold on.
Well, no, we have a couple callers who are actually calling in.
Okay, so let me say this to you, and then I'm going to stop.
Okay.
You just said multidimensional being. When you're standing in your reality, look at it and see how many multiple dimensions you can identify within your experience vibrationally.
Okay.
Now I'm going to be quiet. Go ahead.
No, I like the exercise. I think the exercises are beneficial. I like the exercise you did earlier on in the show. And
when
like I said,
each person, you can look out into the world and see which dimension you're in. Your experience will tell you exactly what dimension you're in. If it's ego-based, you're in the third dimension. If it's beautiful, love, and magical, and everybody's happy and sharing, you're in a fifth dimension and higher.
Is that where the unicorns and rainbows live as well? Is in the fifth dimension?
Yep, magic every moment of every day. Yes, sir, it does.
So for our listeners, we are going to take a caller. If you want to visit Lisa's website, that's awakeningtoremembering.com.
Mm-hmm.
She also has a huge following on YouTube. As far as we're going to just take one question, just for the sake of time. The show goes by so quick. So we're going to take Donna, who's been patiently holding. Donna,
Yay.
I'm not sure where Donna's from. Are you on the line, Donna?
Yeah, I'm here in New Jersey.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, Donna from New Jersey. Welcome to Inspired Living Radio.
Hi, Mark.
You have Lisa Transcendent Brown on the line. What is your question for her, please?
I'm not sure. I think that you might have answered, but I'm not sure. My question was when you keep talking about collapsing timelines, and what I wanted to know, what happens to the version of us on that timeline? So we're not really real, it's just the holographic image of us?
You merge them. See, we didn't understand for a real long time that during a collapse, collapsing is a merging process. Collapsing is a unification process. So, like, for the human, time's speeding up because time ceases to exist. The more you're in your head, the faster time goes. Okay? So, for a human, the realities appear to collapse because all timelines have collapsed into one, so everything is unifying within the same space. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Timeline collapses are a unification process where time ceases to exist. So all of those realities that were separated by time, they all end up in the same space together. So everybody that's going through things speeding up, those are all different timelines that are starting to trying to squeeze all into one space. Does this make sense? I'm trying to equate time and space and all this stuff together in a linear way.
Well, because not that long ago, like I saw myself, I look exactly as me, but the sun was like 100 times bigger than Earth's sun, and I was looking at it over the horizon, like it was above an ocean, and I just
you will actually end up having two suns. You will actually end up having two suns. So, like when I get up every morning, I have one sun, and then within an hour or two, it switches, and I have a different sun. And one day I was driving down the road, and I had two suns in my sky. You will actually have two suns eventually. They're not the same sun.
Oh, but I mean, this was in a dream state.
Right, but those dream states will start to become your actual reality.
Oh,
that's what higher dimensional living is. Yes. Higher dimensional living means you're expanding your consciousness so your DNA can rewrite itself so your body can actually walk in those dimensions.
All right, that's very interesting. So when you have a dream that's really out there, like
real,
when this energy, this person, it's like an energy force is teaching me how to shoot out of the ocean and to change into all different colors like blue, green, and white. And I'm saying, I don't know how to do that. And he said, yes, try harder. You can do this. Like, I have these really way out dreams.
You're supposed to, yes. There are a lot of things that we activate. Okay, so these are all alternate timelines. These are all alternate realities. These are all these things. But a lot of these dreams we have are floating, we're flying, we're experiencing all weird, and they're very real. You'll notice that they'll feel like you're in them because you are. Your consciousness bilocates. It's not just in this reality anymore. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So bilocating means you're able to actually split your conscious. I'm going to make this simple, but it's kind of true but not true. You're able to actually split your consciousness off into multiple dimensions and be in all of those simultaneously at the same time. Now,
I get that. Okay.
A lot of these things are an activation of your DNA so that all new things can come forth. You will have an experience in the dream state, which is just an alternate reality. But I've had dreams, and then it's really cool because when you start learning how to utilize the dream space, as an actual access to other dimensions in reality. You can actually pull all of those things here, the ones that are highest aligned.
Yeah, that's what I'm working on. I'm spending a lot of time trying to meditate. I want to
expanding good
with the higher self.
Because you're changing your brainwave state. We have to actually, New Earth operates at a gamma frequency. And so we actually have to achieve gamma with our physical body, which is what our light body is. So meditating raises our body's vibration so our DNA and our consciousness can expand so that a new dimension can physically appear in our reality here.
And so, Lisa, I want to jump in right there.
Go
I
ahead.
Think that's a great.
Yes.
I think that's a great place to stop for today's show because we're going to run out of time. Donna from New Jersey, thank you for calling in. Great question. A lot to think about. Grab a cup of tea and percolate over this and marinate on this whole topic. It's awesome stuff. Lisa Transcendence Brown, we just want to thank you again for coming on Inspire Living Radio, sharing your knowledge, sharing your passion, sharing your experiences. It's always such a fun time. Love to have you back. We'll do part 3, part 4. We'll work from a different alternative reality, and I just appreciate you. You are the inspired and the inspiration, Lisa. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, inspired listeners, until next time, until our next soul adventure together, be kind, be caring, be compassionate. Have a great week. Namaste.
Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, our listeners.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.